I may have picked not a good day to do this. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mindful Homestead. My name is Jack and today I'm gonna take you guys along with me as I try to learn how to weld. Here we are at what I'm now calling the tailgate of truth. I'm just gonna do review videos whenever I do them on the tailgate of the truck. And that's where we're gonna do them because it seems to be pretty convenient. Today, we are looking at a welder that a company actually sent to me. They emailed the channel and they said, hey, are you interested in reviewing a welder? And I responded point blank by saying, I don't weld. I don't know how to weld. And their response was actually like, that's okay. We're kind of aiming this welder at people who have never welded before. It's looking to be somebody's first welder. So a company called Troozy, T-R-O-O-Z-Y, sent this out. It's their ARC 160GS. Background story, I do know a little bit about welding. I took a few welding courses when I was in high school, but I haven't welded since then. So we're talking, I graduated in 2003 from high school. So it's been 20 years since I have welded anything. But this is an arc welder or a stick welder. It is a DC model. It goes up to 160 amps. That is essentially all I know about it so far. I believe it retails for about 150 bucks. So I opened it up just to look at it and make sure, this is as far as I went. So we're gonna unbox this thing and we're gonna take a look at it and we're gonna see what all comes with it. And then we're gonna try to lay down some beads on some plate steel that I've got. All right, so we got an accessories box here. This is going to be your nice little hammer and a wire brush. Kind of chintzy, but whatever. It's nice to include it. This is your electrode holder. Pretty good tension on that. Feels a little cheap, but I mean, this is an inexpensive welder. Your ground clamp. Copper or copper plated at least. It looks like it's actually 100% copper. And then you've got, it runs on both 110 or 220, so they include an adapter cable for that. The main complaint you're gonna see with a lot of these inexpensive welders is short leads. You are talking, that's maybe, I'm 6 feet tall, maybe 4 feet, 3.5. Same thing here, your electrode holder, a little bit longer, maybe 6 feet. 6 feet on the electrode holder. So a little short. You've got to be able to have power nearby to where your welder is. You could use an extension cord. It is 110. I mean, I'm looking at them. I'm pretty sure they'll work just fine. It's just that they're short. All right, let's get the actual welder out. Woo, it's light. Okay, so you can see on the side, it's branded Rylon. I don't know, it was listed on their page as being a collaboration between Troozy and Rylon. It's actually branded Rylon on these cords right there. So I don't know who Troozy is. I don't know who Rylon is. This piece of, there's a piece of paper on the back here, and it says, Rylon is a sub-brand of Ryland, a high-quality welder provider. Please contact Ryland Technical Service at aftersales.ryland.com for inquiry, blah, blah, blah. So apparently Ryland is the brand, or Ryland is the brand, and maybe Troozy is the distributor. I'm not sure. But the welder seems pretty straightforward. You've got an on-off switch on the back. You've got your 110 power cord. You've got your lead connections up here. This is just a standard analog dial to control your amperage. Oh, there's another power button there. I don't know what that's for. Maybe to turn it on, maybe switch it on and off and then turn it on and off. And then there is a little handy chart down at the bottom that shows you duty cycles, amperages, and all that stuff. Impressions. It does seem very small and light. Which I mean, probably isn't a bad thing. I mean, the whole thing weighs like 5 pounds, but I know electronics technology has come a very long way in the last 20 years. If you look inside, you can actually see some of the coils and everything. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up. Maybe. If it does what it says it does, I won't necessarily have any complaints with it. I don't plan on welding a lot. Maybe I do down the line a little bit, but for now, as I'm just starting out, having a little stick welder like this actually would be pretty handy, and it's not going to take up a whole bunch of space. Between this and this box, which I'll probably hang on to, that's really not a big footprint on a shelf in the garage at all. But the build quality feels solid. Nothing's shaking around in there. I mean, maybe these plates on the side are a little bit thin, but I mean, whatever. You're not buying this as something that you would necessarily have as like a prime welder that you're carrying from job site to job site. You know, I would imagine the main purchaser of something like this is a lot like us, a small homestead. You have a tractor, maybe you have tractor implements. You've got some things that you want to repair on your own, you don't want to bring somewhere else. If I had this when I was building my maple evaporator, I could have welded up the frame for that. The nice thing about stick welders is that you get a lot of power in a small package. You know, as far as welding on relatively heavy pieces of steel, 160 amps, which is where this thing tops out, that's pretty aggressive. So I think if that's what you were looking for, something just to have on your small farmer homestead, this thing could fit the bill there for not too much money. I've got everything set up. I'm suited up. I've got my flame resistant jacket on. I've got my welding helmet on. I've got my gloves in front of me here. And we are gonna fire this thing up. I'm gonna set my amps here at 50, which is just above 40, which is the minimum of this machine. The reason I'm doing that is I've got 1/16 rods, which are pretty small. The reason why I've got 1/16 rod is, one, it was what Tractor Supply had, but two, I'm planning on the project of the brush guard that I'm going to build for the tractor. I'm going to be using expanded metal, and with stick welding, expanded metal and stick welding, not the greatest. Stick welding really for lightweight materials is not the best thing on the planet, because you throw a lot of heat into your metal and you can pretty easily melt expanded metal, and it's not going to work. You'll just melt it. So the plan is to get pretty good with light duty kind of finesse welding, even though stick welding is not really good for that. And we're going to try that and see how it goes. So yeah, let me get an electrode out here and get it in the electrode holder. We'll turn this thing on and we'll see how she does. I think that's it. I turned it on. There's a green light on. Maybe I should have read the manual. Let's go. We'll give it a shot. What I did there was it started and then I pulled off. I pulled a long arc. So the problem with that is I ended up burning off more metal than flux around the metal, and then the metal was inside, so I couldn't kind of scratch start. I think. I don't know. I'm new to this, remember? All right, let's try maybe turning it up a little. 60 amps. right, maybe we're getting a little better. All right. It is interesting to be humbled like this. Let me bring the camera in. All right, so my first weld's right here. Not terrible. Actually looks like, if you look at it from the back, it looks like I'm getting decent penetration. Definitely much better on the second passes where I turned it up a little. Not straight at all, but that would work. It would hold a couple pieces of metal together. All right, that started picking up toward the end. I'm going to turn it up a little. That was at 60. I'm going to go up to 80. All right, second rod. Let's see how we did. All right, so there's this one right here that kind of curves down, and then this one right here was that electrode. Looks good on the back, maybe even a little hot here where I turned it up. I guess here's my question, or a question I have for anybody out there who's a pretty good welder. Is it normal at first? I have a really hard time working when the electrode's long, and then as it gets shorter, like it was halfway done when I started this top pass here, and this one was super easy to do. I got it in one pass all the way across. But when the electrode is long, it's just start and stop and start and stop. I don't know. I'm gonna lay some more down and just keep going and see if I can't get better. I think that last one was our best one yet. I think that top one there is probably my best bead yet. And then the one underneath it, again, it's just when the electrode is long, I have a hard time keeping my bead straight and keeping a good, I guess keeping a good bead is where I'm getting at. But that top one, But that top one there, I mean, maybe I got lucky, but that's a pretty good one. Let's talk this welder. First things first, the brush and hammer that it comes with, no offense, Truzy, it works, but it's not going to last. I mean, you can see it's already bent up. It's not going to last much longer than what I used it for. And honestly, the hammer part of it, that little nub right there, is not so great. But again, that's not what you're buying here. You're buying the welder itself. So the welder, like I said, I started at 50 amps and I worked my way up to 80. And what I did notice, and what potentially could be the case, I don't know, I was just kind of guesstimating here and seeing how it goes. I think that it's easier to weld at a higher amp rating for a beginner. It was easier to strike an arc. It was easier to keep that arc going. It was a little bit more tolerant if I pulled off and got into a long arc, which is not good, but it's, you know, you're still going to keep your arc going. Likewise, when I had it turned down, this does have a hot start in it, which I've read is essentially it pumps the amps up above where you have it set on startup so that you don't stick. What I noticed was, and what you guys saw, was I was sticking really bad at the beginning of everything. And most of that was when I had the amps turned down to around 50. That hot start probably wasn't hot enough, and I probably could have gotten away with having it hotter or having the amps turned up higher so it was a hotter start, and that would have helped me out. But as far as the welder working and doing what it says, it welds just fine. The voltage that it's putting out, it seems relatively stable. I didn't notice it changing too much over the course of my use of it. Like I said, I'm running this through an extension cord right now, so I don't know what the watts output on something like this is, but the extension cord is, you know, doing just fine, and that's all dandy. I think if you've got a small farm or homestead and you're looking for a welder to just kind of have around and play with, this is pretty on point. I mean, I don't think if you were welding casually that you would need anything more than this. The inverter technology in these things, because it's gotten so good and it's so small, you've got a DC inverter generator that can put out 160 amps. That's much nicer than those AC buzz boxes back in the day that I learned on, which were super big, super heavy. They were kind of unsettling, just the noise an AC inverter makes versus a DC inverter. An AC inverter sounds like zzz, zzz, like somebody getting electrocuted. It's kind of unnerving and weird, especially when you're in high school. But the technology on these, I mean, you put the right rods in this and you crank this thing up, you could do some heavy duty welding of plate steel. Like if you needed to fix a box blade, probably if you knew what you were doing, you could build a box blade with this thing. What it really comes down to there is the duty cycle, where if you crank this thing and use it at its max capacity for a long period of time. And in that case, I don't know how well that would work, but I'm sure I'll be learning about it over the years. And if you're just looking for something to do small projects with around the farm, you're not going to be cranking it up to like 140, 160 amps anyway. That's a lot of power. And I didn't burn my beard, which was probably my biggest worry throughout this whole project here. Big shout out to Truzy for sending this welder along. I appreciate it. I was looking for a welder to have anyway for the homestead for projects. So this is pretty handy and good that I have it. I'm really psyched. It worked just fine for me so far. If I do come up with any issues in the future, I will let you know. I've got a fun project lined up for the TYM that we're going to be working on in the near future. And we'll be using this welder, so I'll make sure to talk about it then as well. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye.